Let's see, it doesn't look like it's running. There we go. Good, now it is. All right, it's a little bit after 6:30, we'll get started. This is the Ethics Board for the City of Green Bay. It is May 22nd, 2017. We all have our agenda in front of us. First of all, we'll start with roll call, so everybody who's here announce themselves so it's on the tape.
Mark Olson.
Bill Vandecassen.
Phil Gilbert.
Patty Kiewis.
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, or is there a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Also in your packet is a copy of the minutes from the May 4, 2017 Ethics Board meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to that, to those minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Again, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4 on the agenda is a hearing on the ethics complaint against Alderman Randy Scannell, filed by Alderman Andy Nicholson under the City of Green Bay Code of Conduct for elected officials. Are the parties ready to proceed?
Yes.
Good. A couple of procedural things that we need to address first. First, let me just state that it's the goal and the objective of the Ethics Committee to provide and conduct a hearing that's fair to both parties, in both form, appearance, and substance. To ensure that we meet those goals, we have a couple of questions that we have to identify for ourselves, and that is, the first one, we need to identify whether any of the commission or board members, excuse me, has any interest in the matter that come before us tonight, or any conflict of interest in this matter. If you do, please identify that for the record. Hearing none, there will be no conflict of interest to proceed. Secondly, have any of us received any communications regarding this matter from any party other than what was provided to us through the city attorney's office? I've got nothing. Anybody else receive anything? No?
Only what was handed out a few moments ago.
Yes, correct. All right, other than that, we're ready to proceed. Just again, a quick review of the process that's been established for this. Each side will get 30 minutes to present their case to the commission. You can reserve some of that time if you'd like for a follow-up afterwards, but we'll try to hold it to each side having 30 minutes to present their case. At the end, the commission will go into closed session to deliberate, and we'll come out with some findings of fact and conclusions of law based on the evidence and the testimony presented this evening. And we'll submit that report then to the City Council after it has been approved. And, all right, so Alderman Nicholson, you are the complainant in this matter. You get to go first.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee, for the hearing. I, Andy Nicholson, 800 Venus Drive, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 54311. I have my phone number. Hereby make a formal complaint against Alderman Randy Scannell for his actions on the night of May 3rd, 2016 at the meeting of the full City Council. Alderman Randy Scannell actions that night constitute violations of the Code of Conduct for Green Bay City elected officials in a matter that violated the rights not only fellow aldermen but also the public. I believe Alderman Randy Scannell violated Section 2, subsection B, use of civility and decorum in discussion and debate. Section 4, elected official conduct towards the public, and Section 6, subsection C, be respectful of diverse opinions. Mr. Chairman, question, do you have a copy of the code of conduct?
Yes, I
Okay,
believe we all
so
do.
everybody on the committee knows the sections I'm talking about, or do
Yes.
you want me to read them?
No, we're fully aware. of
Okay.
it. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. At approximately 18:55 hours, which is 5 minutes to 7 o'clock at night, on May 3rd, 2016, I, Andy Nicholson, heard and witnessed Alderman Scannell using the, I'm not going to use that word.
Understood.
It's not a sort of word that I want to use in public or even in front of my wife or family, daughters, kids, mother. So I'm going to refrain that. You understand what the word is. It's an F word. And aggressively making physical contact multiple times by jamming his finger forcefully in Alderman Dwayne's chest. Seconds later, I heard Alderman Scannell using that F word once again towards Alderman Worry. At that time, Alderman Scannell was positioned upright behind his desk in the council chambers, where I heard Alderman Scannell using the F word loud enough to catch my attention while I was seated behind my council chamber desk. He used the F word towards Alderman Worry and physically made contact with his finger into Alderman Worry's chest, using enough force to move Alderman Worry off balance. I then noticed Alderman Randy Scannell throwing up his arms, stating, and I'm not going to say that word, I'm not going to use God's name in vain, I apologize for even putting it in the report. But if I didn't, and I just put GD, I didn't know if the committee would know what the word is. He stated God's name in vain, and Randy Scannell then exited council chambers through the south exit. Okay, now this happened right before the meeting. Now after the meeting was adjourned, I noticed Alderman Worry and Alderman Scannell conversing in the hallway, just outside the second floor council chambers near the elevator. I did proceed to walk out. I witnessed and heard Alderman Worry stating, "Randy, you poked and swore at me." I also heard Alderman Scannell reply, "I did." Then I exited to the elevator outside the city council, city hall. Okay. Now, as one of the driving forces behind the origination of the code of conduct for the city council members, Alderman Scannell should certainly be held to the standards that the proposed for all members. I believe members of the public left uncomfortable and unwelcome with Alderman Scannell's use of language and aggressive behavior. Information contained in this complaint is true and accurate, where the complaint has good reason to believe and does believe that the facts alleged are true and correct, and they constitute a violation of the code. That's the complaint. So I guess, Mr. Chairman,
All
my
right.
question to you would be, what's the next step then?
The next step, any further testimony that you have for us tonight?
Not at this time.
Okay. Then Alderman Scannell has the right to essentially cross-examine or ask you questions. Same
Okay.
thing for his witnesses and.
Witnesses come later? Or
We'll
now?
do the cross-examination now, since you're essentially on the stand.
Okay.
And actually, I forgot to swear him in. So I'll do that now. Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And the testimony that you've previously given was true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
All right. So at this point, Alderman Scannell would have the opportunity to ask you questions if he has any.
Okay.
If not, then you would call your next witness.
Okay, what position should I be in the room?
You can stand right where you are.
All right.
Alderman Scannell, do you have any questions for the witness?
Yes. Do you know why I confronted Alder Dwayne?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Then, sure.
Andy, I'm just trying to, I just want to clarify, the subsections, the 3 subsections that you named, I just want to make sure I'm on at least the same page with you with what you're referring to.
Okay.
Section 2, subsection B, civility and decorum, that's pretty self-explanatory. Section 4, elected officials, conduct towards the public. Is there a particular paragraph or line or sentence that you have in there that you're referring to?
I feel it's the whole section,
The
Bill.
whole section?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then, yeah, and the other one is pretty self-explanatory too. All
Okay.
right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, your next step would be to call your first witness.
Okay, I'll call my first witness, Alden Dwayne.
Alderman Dwayne, would you step forward and be sworn in, please?
Yes, I will.
As you raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in the matter before us this evening?
I do.
Very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Dwayne, in your own words, could you express of what took place?
Well, I was entering the council room. I usually go up and say hello to all the directors, and I usually start by Alderman Dorsey's in District 1, and I go down the line when I'm early enough and try to say hello to everybody. And when it was about to the mayor's, right in front of the mayor's, between the mayor in front and myself, I noticed that Randy Scannell was walking towards me, and he looked at me, and we were face to face, and he confronted me, and he said the F word, and he just started poking me, and I'm like, just baffled. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And didn't really even say nothing, because he left right away, and I continued on to get to my seat, but I kept eye contact with him because I wanted his attention to figure out what was that about, because, I didn't know. And at that point, I'm looking, and I'm still trying to get his attention, but he was dealing with Alderman Weary at the time, and he just left. And so I sat down and just went through the meeting, and throughout the meeting, tried to get contact with him, but I really didn't. I mean, of course, we say aye, and I just kept going, shrugging my shoulders and having like this. And that's it.
And for clarification, this was again on May 3rd of 2016?
Yes.
And that was this was at the beginning of the city council meeting?
Right before.
No, go ahead.
Is that the only word he said to you while he was?
I just looked at me and he goes, effing, and he just started like that, and I was really like just taken back.
Was it in reference to a topic or to you personally?
We didn't start a meeting yet, so I don't know. Before, it took me a couple days before I even found out what it was referenced to.
Okay, you didn't know at the time.
No.
Thank you.
Alderman Scannell, any questions?
We did not speak at the afterwards?
Yeah, he didn't ask that. He said what happened before. I'll wait till if he asks me those questions.
I,
Okay, well, I'll answer your questions when you want me to.
Yeah.
I can ask questions now?
Yes.
Okay, oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, I
You
apologize
just,
to you.
yeah,
Yes, we did. I followed you and I approached you.
and what did I say?
I asked you what it was about, and you told me it was something that Alderman Nicholson said to you.
And what did I say that was?
So you didn't really say, Randy. You were still, I was still in confusion why you would do that. You did say it was something, because after you told me that, I went back in the room and confronted Andy Nicholson, Alderman Nicholson, and I said, what is this between you and Randy? What did you tell him? And he says, I didn't tell Randy anything. And we didn't talk after that. We talked very briefly, and I asked you why you did that. And then when you told me it was something Alderman Nicholson said, I said, fine. I was not gonna leave that room until I found out, and he said he didn't say anything, so that was it. So I went home.
Can I just make sure I got this timeline here? So you're in the council meeting, so
Right.
before the meeting, Randy comes up to you and starts
You just swore.
verbally abusing you and poking you in the chest with a
Just
finger.
like that.
And he said it was about something that Andy
No, he
had
didn't, no, he didn't tell me that until after our meeting.
after the meeting.
Right.
Okay,
When I went up to him, I wanted to know what it was about, because I didn't get his attention during the meeting.
Okay.
I walked right up to him after him, he was out in the hall. Asked him, he said it was something Alderman Nicholson said, and I went to confront him because I do not want someone talking for me. I'm not gonna allow, that kind of, normally, I'm not gonna let anybody poke me, but it was Randy, and I just said, well, I'll learn later, I guess, and that was it. That was the end of my night.
okay. So when he was verbally abusing you and poking you, he did mention, he said something other than just dropping F-bombs and that stuff. I mean, he
No.
was, He didn't
No.
refer to
Didn't refer to
anything about what it was
anything.
about?
No,
All right. Did,
he was just upset.
did you feel threatened by his behavior?
I'm not really threatened by anybody, so what do you mean?
Well, did you feel threatened? Did you think maybe?
I didn't like it.
Okay, you
I
didn't like
thought
it.
it was way out of line.
All right.
I mean, he gets excited.
Okay, but you didn't think he was gonna do anything, hurt you or anything else like that? Were you offended by his language?
Well, I was offended by what he did, of course. Of
Okay.
course I was. I mean, you don't do that. Especially in council, it's very embarrassing because everybody's in there. That place is full.
Sure.
And you're sitting there and you're, as council president, saying hi to everybody. And someone comes up and does that. It's not only embarrassing for the council, but embarrassing for me. And, yeah.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I wasn't done.
Go, that's fine, go ahead, Alderman.
Okay, so, you asked me what it was about, and I just said it was something Andy Nicholson said, and then I didn't tell you what he said,
No,
okay? And, after I had my altercation with you, what happened right after that? Was anybody, who was around there, who did,
I just know the council was full. Everybody's getting in their seats and you went around and so I'm trying to follow you to get your attention.
no one came up to you and spoke to you or anything, or?
No. I just went to my seat. When you got done, I turned around, went to my seat. Mayor came in, and I tried to get your attention to find out. And I kept going like this, and I looked, and you didn't respond. And I just, whatever it is, I wanted to make sure we took care of it.
Oh, we didn't take care of it, I didn't tell you what it was. Okay, never mind, that's it, that's all my questions.
I'm talking about,
Okay. Alderman Nicholson, any further questions for the witness?
No, sir.
You're excused,
Thank you.
thank you. Next witness.
Alderman Worry.
Would you raise your right hand, Alderman Ware? You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God in these proceedings?
Yes.
Go ahead, Alderman Nicholson.
Alderman Worry, in your own words, can you describe or tell what happened on May 3rd
Yes,
of the confrontation? Thank you.
May 3rd was, we've been talking about Colburn for years, and that was an important vote for Colburn that night. And earlier in the day, Alderman Scannell expressed how he was going to vote. He was going to vote to send it out for bids or whatever we were doing, we'd take the next step. So when I got to council, I was standing at my desk, and Alderman Scannell approached me and said, "There's something I have to tell you." I, okay, what do you have to tell me? He said, I'm changing my vote tonight. I want to send this back to committee so we can hear more about Tundra Lodge. And that caught me off guard, and I asked him, Alderman Scannell, is that your opinion or is that coming from the mayor? And it was at that point, I don't know if I can maybe use you as my prop here, Alderman Nicholson. It was at that point when I asked him,
Yes, so.
is that coming from you or is that coming from the mayor? He got buggy-eyed and hurt my thumb, not my finger. So, and he pushed me in the chest and said, "F you." And then he threw up his arms and said, "God damn it." And then he left and went into the mayor's office. And the meeting started shortly after this. We didn't get to talk. He didn't come in until right before the meeting started. We were in the hallway, and I went up to Alderman Scannell and said, "Hey, you know what? Man, you swore at me, and you pushed me pretty hard. What?" And he said, "Yeah, I did." And then we didn't talk about it after that. He didn't want to talk about it. So that's what happened.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Alderman Scannell, any questions?
So we never talked about it, had any communication about it afterwards?
We did. That wasn't part of this incident, but I believe I messaged you on Facebook and said again, I think that's a violation of our code of conduct, Randy. You swore at me and you poked me and pretty hard, and you didn't reply. You didn't talk about it at all. Didn't reply to my comment.
Did you ever ask for an apology?
Well, I thought maybe one would be forthcoming. It was pretty
Did you
evident.
ever ask for an apology?
Actually, in my text, I said, I think you owe me an apology. I have a copy of that.
So do I.
Howdy, Randy. This is from May 10th. Howdy, Randy. According to our code of conduct, you may owe me an apology. And then you said, hey,
You
quite a day
may
today.
owe me an apology, that's not
Wait,
asking.
wait,
I'm
let
sorry.
him finish.
I'm sorry, apologize.
Sorry. And I said, you should not have put your finger in my chest and yelled at you. That was not kosher. I would not have done that to you, especially in a public setting. Lots of folks in the audience saw it, asked me what happened, as did Nicholson.
Yeah.
I may owe you an apology. It's not asking for an apology, is it?
Well, if you don't think it's appropriate, then maybe,
Well, you may owe me an apology. Seems a strange way to ask someone for an apology.
that's your opinion.
Well, okay. And
So you don't-
at the end of your statement, is there not a smiley face?
What's that?
Yes, there was a semicolon with a parenthesis. There was a smiley
That's
face.
because I considered us to be friends.
Well, it's a strange way to ask.
I've never done that to a friend.
You didn't ask for an apology? Well, I'm not going to test my, just questions. Yep.
Can we see the document and can it be entered into the record since you have it with you?
I have copies.
If you have copies, I sent one. I just want to check it too before I... Sure.
There's a smiley face at the end there.
So everybody agrees that this is the true and
Document.
true and correct
It
copy?
looks like it, let me just...
Yeah, verified?
Mr. Chairman, can we have Alderman Nicholson verified as well? that he's
Yes.
okay?
It wasn't included in it, but... I'm sorry.
You get to look at it too. It's your
Oh.
part agreement.
This is what we were just talking about?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, question, Vanessa, if I'm not all right with it, then what?
Yeah, we'll
Well,
check.
either way, it's, what you're looking at right now is whether or not this is something that they're going to enter into evidence, so you have a right to look at it. So if you want to object to it, now's the time to do it.
So the question is, should this document be admitted into evidence? It's been presented and discussed by the witness and Alderman Scannell. Is there an objection to it being admitted into evidence?
Mr. Chairman, I did not witness this. That was between
Right,
these
I-
two
I
gentlemen,
understand.
so I can't approve this. I'm just approving my complaint, basically what I saw. I'm just giving the facts. I don't know anything about this.
Okay.
So,
Understood.
yeah, I guess yes, I would object to this.
Okay.
Could you, just 1 second.
It's your witness.
I
Well,
know that, but
that's why he's got the right.
I wasn't in the,
Excuse me.
just 1 second, Randy.
It's my document. Can I put it in?
You can put it in.
I'm putting it in. I was going to put it in.
When you're on the witness stand, then you can.
Well, then, should I collect it back?
No, just hang on. Well,
Could you read it, Mr. Chairman? Please?
read the,
Right.
certainly, read it into the record. This.
Well, no, I mean,
It'll be in the record if you read it.
okay, then don't read it then.
Okay.
I didn't witness this, so I object.
Okay. Objection.
I just want to stick to my complaint and the facts, and then the code of conduct that was violated.
Understood.
So we're going to try to keep this as simple as possible.
Email, Facebook. What he has, what Chris has, Facebook material there. And he's referred to that as part of his testimony.
Right.
That should be admitted.
Well, it's in the record, but in terms of an actual exhibit or a transcript of it, if Alderman Nicholson is objecting to it, I think he's got a right to that objection, because as he said, it's not part of his complaint.
Okay.
I can't give that a stamp of approval.
Right, and understand, they're not asking you to do that.
Thank you.
They're just simply, it's a piece of evidence that's being presented, but as Alderman Scannell indicated, he has the right, since he was the recipient of it, he can put it in the record if he so chooses.
This is right.
Can I ask the city attorney a question? So do we disregard this Facebook exchange until Randy wants to introduce it?
So you can introduce it, or you can accept evidence into the record at any time in an administrative hearing. You don't have to wait till either party has introduced it. You can take everything at the beginning, you take it all as it comes. And so if you would like to hold judgment on whether you're not going to accept things into the record, that's fine. And then you just make your determination on the objection at that point.
So, anything further?
Not with Alderman Waring. I don't have any
Okay,
questions or anything.
thank you.
There was, if I could just reply one last thing to the question that was asked to me about the May.
Sure.
The reason you use May is because it's not the only option available. There are other things. So you may owe an apology, but it may be many other things. That's why if you use for certain, you do owe me this, you're excluding everything else. So that's why I use the word.
Alderman Scanlon, any further questions? No, all right.
Can I still ask one of Alder Dwayne?
You can call him as a witness when you take the stand, or when you present your case.
Right. Okay.
Alderman Nicholson, anything further to present?
Well, I have, I don't know if there's any more, I don't know if anybody saw anything out there. I'll call a witness of Mr. Van Ness. Donnie, I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
Van Edelstein.
Van Ness Stein.
Van Edelstein.
I'll go with Randy.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in these proceedings this evening?
Yes.
And would you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Scott Van Adestein. It's Vanidestine.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. Alderman Nicholson, ask your questions, please.
Well, I didn't know if anybody was in, I know, like Rhonda and Scott, they're at these meetings, like,
I don't think I was
every
actually
meeting.
at that one.
You weren't at that one, but you attend a lot of the meetings.
I
That's
do.
why I look back, see if there's anybody.
I do.
Mr.
I don't think I was
Vanadis.
there.
Pardon?
I don't think I was at that one.
Okay. Mr. Vanadis raised his hand, so I said, my question to him is, did you witness anything?
When I heard the F-bomb, I looked up and I saw Randy poking Alderman Dwayne.
Okay.
And then he walked off. I didn't know
Who do
what
you
it was
mean-
about.
Who do you mean by he?
Alderman Scanlon.
Oh, okay.
Where were you standing?
I was at the back door where I always sit there.
Okay, and so they were up by their chairs, like
Right.
2 or 3 rows up?
Yes.
And when you heard that F-bomb, do you know who said it?
Alderman Scanlon did.
And how do
And
you
that's
know
what
that?
made me look.
Well, how do you know it was him if you weren't looking when it was said?
Voices.
So
I
you
know
recognize
voices.
his voice?
Right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Alderman Scanlon, any questions?
Where were we standing?
Right up, just about in front of where the mayor sits.
In front of him. Okay. And you saw me poking him in the chest.
Right after I heard the F-bomb, when I looked up, I saw you poke him.
Okay.
Any further questions? Alderman Nicholson, any rebuttal?
I don't have anything else. No, sir.
All right. Anything else to add?
Not at this time.
All right, so by my clock, you've run about 25 minutes, so you've got 5 minutes left at the end if you want to use that.
I would like to, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. You'll have 5 at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Scannell, your turn at the Diaz. And would you raise your right hand, so I don't forget to do it this time? You solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God in these proceedings?
I do.
All right, very good. Proceed.
Okay. I'm going to just start with the incident, I think. I'll start with the incident and then work through the whole document. My recollection of this event is quite different. It's true it started out in the morning with my conversation with Alder Weary, and then during the day, of course, today I found out Thunder Lodge is ready to come forward with a proposal, so I thought that would be the thing to do to vet that out before we went forward with bids. And I did, a few minutes before the council, wanted to talk to Alder Weary. I didn't want to blindside him. I wanted to tell him what I did. He intimated, he didn't ask me a question. He said that I was working for the mayor. That's why I got upset. If he just asked a question, I would answer the question. He said, "You're working for the mayor." I did get upset. I overreacted. And I did say, since we're adults in the room, and since I do own my own behavior, I said, fuck you, and walked away. I wanted to cool off. And I wanted to get a water. On my way back, I'm going to my chair, we're about ready to start council. I pass Andy Nicholson, and we start talking. And I told him about my altercation with Alder Weary. And he said, well, Tom is going around saying the same thing. You're working for the mayor. So on my way back to my desk, Tom is at his desk. I'm going towards my desk. We're about this far away. And I'm pointing at him to get his attention. So the altercation with Alder Dwayne happened after the altercation with Weary. That was the first one. And I finally got his attention, and I said, that's bullshit. This is my idea, not the mayor's. And he's going, what? And then the mayor gavelled us in, and we didn't get to finish it. Now, I would like to just back up a minute and talk a little bit more about my altercation with Alder Weary. We were discussing the pool house, and we were talking about, and it's in chambers, we're by our chairs, it's loud, we're close to each other, talking. We were animated, but we weren't yelling. And what I said was, I, pointing to myself, wouldn't do this to you, and I pointed at him, and since we were so close, it was incidental contact, it was a tap. And then I lost my temper and swore at him and left. After the meeting, Alder Dwayne came to me and said, what was that all about? And I said, Alder Nicholson says, you're telling everybody that I'm working for the mayor. Which I find insulting because it implies that I have no, I'm not my own person, I can't make my own mind, I can't make my own, And he said, no, I would never do that, I didn't do that. And I said, okay, fine. I accepted his answer, and that was it. I do not recall anything else with Alder Weary. As far as I know, I consider it all done and over. Now, after this, though, however, this was on Tuesday. On Friday, I'm with some friends, and we are going to lunch at the Transformation House for it's a fundraiser. And we pull up, and right behind us is Alder Zima. So I wait, and he gets out of his car and I say, "Hi, guy, how's it going?" And he came up to me and said, "You shouldn't have poked him in the chest," and said, "Fuck you," and he walked away. And all my friends around me were saying, "Well, what was that all about?" And I don't know if it's because he didn't use Chris's name or because I was a little bit shocked. I wasn't expecting that kind of greeting. I couldn't make the connection. I didn't know. And that's what I thought, I don't know. Then, and I'll enter this into evidence now, the Facebook message. Alder Weary Facebooked me on 5/10 at 10:20. "Howdy, Randy." Sounds like somebody who's very mad. "According to our code of conduct, you may owe me an apology." Smiley face afterwards. Okay, I just talked about the pool. We want to discuss the pool. Then he ends it. "I already talked to Donnie, and there had better not have been any orders given to stop Ralph from working. You should not have put your finger in my chest." Put. And yelled, "F you." That was not kosher. I would not do that to you, especially in a public setting. Lots of folks in the audience saw it and asked what happened. They didn't know what happened. They had to ask. They saw a commotion. As did Nicholson. Why did Nicholson have to ask what happened if he witnessed it? We have worked too hard on well, and then the rest is about the pool. Have a good night. We can chat more about this later. That doesn't sound like someone who's angry to me. He never asked for an apology, and if I may ask Alder Dwayne, well, I could take that back, because I don't owe him an apology. There was never any altercation with Alder Dwayne at all. other than to say, this is bullshit. I never made any kind of contact with him. We were about this far away from each other. I pointed at him to get his attention. So, after that, Alder Nicholson, on the 17th, following council, put in the communication. You've seen
Is this
the-
May 17th?
May 17th. You've seen the communication he put in for, is that in part of your packet or anything? The communication he put into the council? Okay, he put in communication, refer to the Board of Ethics. I don't know why you put it in communication to the council. This is not how you file a complaint, but refer for review, action, Alderman Scannell's inappropriate language. Reference Code of Conduct, elected officials, Section 2, subsection B. It's the only one he lists at the time. Okay, I'm just gonna pass that around. Okay, between the incident and May 17th, no one came to me asking me about it, upset about it, wondering what to go on about. The only time it was brought up was with Alder Zima and Alder Weary, those 2 times. That was it. Now, after the communication, of course, became general knowledge, and Adam Rodwell did an article, investigated it, and did a report. His report supports my version of the events. Indeed.
Would you show this, well, give this to Alderman Nicholson also?
You can have
Oh, it's his own communication.
Yeah, but he gets to see it
Oh,
as a presentation that you're making.
I wrote it.
okay, I would just, and for the sake of time, I'd ask you to maybe look at that in your deliberations.
Yes.
I also did a podcast on Political Radar, which was published on June 6th. And at that podcast, I told what happened, and I've always been very upfront at what happened. I've always been owning my behavior and willing to take responsibility for it. Rhonda Sitnikau is here, and I would just, if I could just ask her.
Well, finish with your, then you can call her as
Well,
well.
so it has to do with the Political Radar. Oh, but wait till I'm all
Yeah.
complete, okay. All right. So I believe the evidence of the time, the documentation of the time supports my version of the events. I don't know what other people, I don't know if in a year's time, and I'm not sure why Alder Nicholson waited a year for this. He filed a communication, why did he not follow up on that? Why wait a year? People's memories, I don't know if they've planted false memories, I don't know what, I can't explain it, I'm not gonna get into a match here with them. But I have, from the beginning, when people ask me what happened, I told everyone why would I only tell half the story? It makes no sense. If I'm willing to own up what I said to Alder Weary, why would I not own up to what I said to Alder Duane if that's what I did? It's not what I did. So, as for the complaint, the Code of Conduct, Section 8, subsection B, talks about timeliness. That the plaintiff should include,
I'm sorry, what were you referring to?
Section 8, subsection B.
8E, all right.
Time for filing. A complaint under the Code of Conduct must be filed no later than 1 year. however, anyone having information on which a complaint is based is encouraged to file the complaint as soon as the information is obtained so that immediate action may be taken by the council or appropriate staff member. I don't consider this timely at all.
It says no later than 1 year.
1 year,
He filed within the 1 year period, did he not?
I'm not saying that it should be dismissed on that, but I'm saying it should be taken into consideration that he started the process a year ago, and then he waited a year. And he's relying on people's memories for their testimony, and in a year, a lot can happen.
He's not outside that paragraph, though. He had up to a year to file.
Finally, I'm not saying he didn't, I'm not
Okay,
saying he
so
didn't.
So what is your argument?
My argument is that if he started the process, why did he stop? And in stopping and waiting a year, and when you're relying on other people's testimony, their memory, you're setting I think that's a problem. I don't think it's appropriate to, what is the purpose for waiting a year to file this? Especially when he already started the process. Why did he stop? He didn't need to get further
It's an
information.
opinion of yours, he's well within.
Well, and I'm offering you my opinion. I'm
Yes, but he's within the 1 year statute, is he not?
He is.
Thank you,
And I never said he didn't.
thank you.
Okay, yep. Okay. And as for my alleged violations, Section 6, subsection C. Section 6 is elected official conduct with boards and commissions. That's what that section is about. Well, this incident had nothing to do with boards or commissions. It had to do between two alders. There's no violation here. I wasn't talking to a board or commissioner. It has nothing to do with the complaint.
I'm not sure if I'm following you. You're talking about Andy's complaint, correct?
Yes,
I don't remember Andy,
he said I violated Section 6, subsection C. Section 6 has to do with elected official conduct with boards and commissions. The complaint has nothing to do with a commissioner or board member. It does not follow that I violated that section when it has nothing to do with what he said. The report has nothing to do with a board or commissioner. Section 4. Elected official conduct towards the public in public meetings. And if you read through it, it talks about behavior during a meeting. Not before a meeting, during a meeting. And again, this was between two alders. It did not involve the public. I didn't swear at a fellow citizen. This was between two alders in a heated moment who didn't behave very well. So I don't see how I could have violated this section either. I think it makes no sense. And then lastly, Section 2, subsection D, elected official conduct with one another. And this is where I feel, of course, the main meat of this is, and why I feel that this whole proceeding is inappropriate. And I'd like to just step back and go back to the creation of the Code of Conduct and a little bit about our system of governance. Okay? Before the Code of Conduct, anyone could come forward with a complaint to the council. A citizen could come forward with a complaint, but it went directly to council. Okay? What we ended up doing with this Code of Conduct is we created a path for citizens to complain, where a committee could vet the complaint, do findings of fact, and then pass that on for the council to take action. It's always with the council. Like any committee, you're just helping the council do its work. Okay? The council is responsible for its order in its own house. Okay? That is true of its own members. In fact, the code was never designed for this committee to be a political football, to get in between two alders. Our state statutes and Robert's Rules of Order have always been in place and are there for elected officials to deal with each other's conduct. And if you look at subsection B, it reads in part, if a council member is personally offended by the remarks of another council member, the offended member should make a note of the actual words used and call for a point of personal privilege and challenges the other council member to justify or apologize for language used. It doesn't say file a complaint to the to the ethics committee. It was never meant for this committee to be involved in politics of elected officials. It's unnecessary for this committee to be involved in that fashion. Why would the council member send something to you that's going to come back to the council? We are supposed to be ruling our own house. We do so with parliamentary procedures and state statutes. If Alder Weary wanted an apology, all he had to do is follow Robert's Rules of Order. So, I would like at this time to, Paul, Rhonda?
Wait a minute.
Questions?
You're done with your testimony to the commission? Unless you
Yes.
want to reserve some time at the end.
Well, yes, reserved, yep.
Okay, so you're done at this point. So then, as the complainant, Alderman Nicholson gets the right to ask you some questions.
All right, fine, certainly, yep.
Alderman Nicholson, if you have any questions, the floor is yours.
The committee has the article from Mr. Rodewald, correct?
It's presented to us, yes.
Can I see the article? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You can keep it.
Thank you. I guess I didn't read this.
Came out shortly after you filed the communication.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman, is this in the, is this submitted? Is that
It's
it?
submitted, but it hasn't been entered as an exhibit yet.
Okay, trying to understand this. This is like.
I believe, and Alderman Scannell,
Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the intent was to have this article corroborate Alderman Scannell's version of the
Okay.
events that night.
I'm trying to just be on the same page. I get to ask questions?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't see, how does this defend your testimony?
It
Where right at the
corroborates-
end, it says Scannell pointed a finger at Worry's chest, said F you, and you walked away.
I've always admitted that.
Okay, where was Mr. Rodel, where was Adam, I can't pronounce his last name at the time?
I don't know.
I don't either.
He did an investigative report.
Is
He's
he
an
here?
investigative reporter.
But he didn't have what position he was in. So I,
I don't know what, but he obviously called people. He called me, I think he called.
didn't call me.
Well,
I'm the complainant, and he doesn't call me.
maybe he did call you. You don't.
No, he didn't.
Maybe it was a year ago. I don't know if you
No,
remember.
no, I remember.
Right, right.
No. So I don't know. I don't see how this, Randy, I just don't see this
Well, you don't have to.
defending. But I'm just stating that.
Any further questions? Oh, you can hang on to that. I gave you.
Well, I don't know, you mentioned my name in your testimony of approximately 16 minutes. Could someone read that back? Because it was like a red flag, something I stated. I don't recall stating anything to him about that.
You said that
What? Help me
Alder,
out.
Well, ask the question for.
What did I say again, Randy?
you told me that Alder Dwayne was saying, going around telling other alders that I was working for the mayor.
Okay. I don't recall that, Mr. Chairman.
Right, any further questions?
No, I don't believe so.
Again, you've got your 5 minutes at the end.
If, Randy, am I on the 5 minutes right
No,
now?
no.
Okay, Randy, I mean, what is the purpose of the code of conduct? Could you explain that again? Please?
Code of conduct was to create a path for citizens to come forward with a complaint. It is the actual code itself is, we looked at, when we created that, it was to look at what was expectations you could expect of appropriate behavior from your elected officials. It was broken down into different categories of, with board members, the public, staff, and each other. And it was never an all-inclusive listing of behaviors. It was just what was believed to be relevant or common. To make an all-inclusive list would have been voluminous, and it was to give the public a general idea and sense of what should be expected, behavior that should be expected from an alder, and what they can do instead of, if they have a complaint, instead of going right to the council, which when this was made, many people came to me that they had complaints, but they didn't want to go straight to the council, that they could then instead, it'd be more, they're more likely to come forward if they could go to a committee first. So that's what the code was made for. It was made to create a path for citizens to lodge a complaint. There is no need for an alder to lodge a complaint with the ethics committee. We have Robert's rules, we have state law, we rule our own house. It is up to us to police ourselves, and if an alder has a problem with another alder, that's where it's taken up, at council.
But yet, section 2 says elected official conduct with one another.
Yes,
So isn't that speaking,
this is informational. Part of what the code does is provide information of what should be expected. But if you look at what, after explaining, and perhaps we shouldn't have included that, we included that because we thought the public should have a comprehensive view. But it was never designed for an alder to come forward with another alder to a complaint. And that was spoken of when we put this together. There were alders who opposed this for that very reason, and we countered with, that is not the purpose of the code.
doesn't the document speak for itself?
It does, and the document says, if a member is personally offended, what should he do? He should call a point of personal privilege. It doesn't say he should use the code of conduct. That is not what the code is for.
These two incidents that were referenced in Alderman Nicholson's complaint didn't involve directly Alderman Nicholson. But isn't Alderman Nicholson, besides being an alderman, isn't he also a citizen? Isn't he also a member of the public?
No, he's not. Not in this capacity. This is an official, he's not here appealing as a citizen. And this is official business. This is between alders, and the way for alders to deal with elected officials, to deal with other elected officials, is the system of government we have. What would they have done before we did this code of conduct?
Doesn't matter.
But it does too.
No, the document speaks for itself, and this is the
Well,
code.
I beg to differ, that, when we put this together, it was never to abrogate our authority over each other, which we've always had and always done and always exercised, to a committee. It was never meant to put you in this position. It's not right to put you in this position between, an issue between two alders, between two elected officials. That was never its design.
Okay, so if this confrontation took place during council, you'd follow what it says here.
Mhm.
So if it takes place outside of council, we have to bring it up during council?
That would be the way to address it if necessary. Yes,
So even if it happened, say, in a bar?
sure.
So it was never intended. Well, how come this wasn't, I'll be honest with you, this happened all before I got elected, and none of this was explained to me in this fashion.
Oh, well,
I'm gonna be honest with you, and there's nothing in here that explains it, that that's how it's supposed to happen. You know, there's no sentence at the bottom that says no complaints will be taken from.
and maybe,
council
and that
against
was a
council.
mistake perhaps, you know, I mean, we put this together and perhaps it does need some tweaking, but the discussions at the time, when we put this together and voted on it and discussed it, that was a concern of Alders. And the counter was, it's never intended for that purpose.
Anything further? Alderman Nicholson, any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, no.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I'm getting a little confused with the order of these things. Could you just succinctly put down the order of how, as you remember, things happened that night? What came first?
Alder Weary.
Okay. And then?
And then I spoke with Alder Nicholson. Why am I stuck with Alder, I mean, they make it sound like I'm crazy, I'm just running around mad at people. Anyway, never mind.
Okay, so.
So then
First
Alder
order-
Nicholson informed me, according to him, that Alder Dwayne was going around telling people the same thing. I then, we had only a minute before the council was going to begin. I was on my way back to my chair.
Okay.
I was trying to get Tom's attention. Once I got it, we started the conversation, but the mayor gavelled us into order. And like I said, when this far apart, we really couldn't talk much anyway. And then it was afterwards that we resolved it.
How far apart were you?
Oh, here, I mean, it's like I'm going to my desk and Tom's at his.
Okay. So Weary was a incidental or accidental touch with your finger and an FU.
Yeah,
Nicholson says, Dwayne is saying you're in tight with the mayor, you're doing his bidding. Dwayne gets a BS from you from a distance of about 8 feet, 10 feet, with the desk between you at least.
mhm.
Okay, and then after the meeting, it's Weary, and what did you say to him then?
There was no, I don't remember any conversation with Weary
After council?
after council. I remember talking to Tom Dwayne, and then that was it.
After council, you talked to Tom.
Tom Dwayne.
And what did that conversation entail?
He asked me what was going on, and I told him. I said, Alder Nicholson is saying you're going around that I'm working for the mayor.
Okay.
And he said, no, I'm not, I'd never say that. I wouldn't do that. And I said, okay, fine.
Okay, so you do not remember having any kind of conversation with Alderman Weary after the council meeting?
No.
Okay, and,
And even if I did, what it's stated in the report, I've already admitted to. I mean, I
right,
so I don't know if that really matters anyway,
well,
but
okay. And in this article, as far as you know for sure he interviewed you, but you don't know if he interviewed anyone else.
I don't know.
And he's no longer in this area working, or,
No,
okay,
I don't think so. No.
all right, thank you.
All right, you got a few minutes left. We'll let you go with your next witness.
Okay. Rhonda? Sorry.
No, I've been in charge of this. So.
Okay, yeah.
All right, ma'am, would you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And would you state your name for the record and spell it, please?
Rhonda Sitnikau, RHONDASITNIKAU.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, well, she was one of the hosts of Political Radar. The event, as I've related it now, how did I relate it on Political Radar?
I have to be honest with you, I would have to go back and review the podcast, but it sounds pretty much like everything I've heard depicted. The podcast is available to download on YouTube if necessary.
I do have the URL.
So it is there, but I can't honestly say I remember exactly what you said because it's been, how long has it been?
Well, can I enter the Earl as evidence?
The Earl?
The Earl for the podcast? I could even email you that, so you've got it
I mean-
as a link.
Basically what I remember is that it had happened and it was roughly not too long after and we discussed it. Just the events basically, but I honestly, because I wasn't prepared.
Sorry,
To
I
say
wasn't,
anything.
I wasn't, I wouldn't
No,
think.
which is fine, but it is available if you want to know, so it's out there.
Well.
And I can find that.
And again, we don't
But we don't have it.
We don't
so-
have it tonight, so.
Well, I do have the Earl, or I could,
I mean, it would be available for council, apparently. I mean, this is going to go towards council at some point, so it would be available for the council to
well,
look at it, so.
depending on, I could show it,
Well, unfortunately, we're running,
but, okay, well, or I could email you the Earl and you could watch it during your deliberations if you wanted.
Can I just say
Yes,
that
sure.
any evidence that's supposed to, that is going to be presented needs to be done in open session before you
Right.
guys go to.
Okay, well then,
I mean, if you have a smartphone, you can download it on YouTube, so
yeah.
it's out there in the public.
it's out
Yeah,
there.
that's,
Okay.
Mhm.
you could do a Google search, well, but you can't, so,
But basically, this podcast would be reaffirming what you've just told us
Right.
here today.
right.
Okay.
I don't know why, right after the event, I would admit to what I did with Alder Weary, but give a completely different version of what happened with Alder Dwayne. And there was no, after that podcast and after the article, again, and throughout this whole year and before, no one has come forward to me saying they were upset with what happened or questioned me what happened. Neither Alder Dwayne or Alder's Weary came forward and asked me for an apology. You would think if there is bad feelings, you would hope that you would expect there to be an effort to resolve it before you kick it to the next level. There was never an effort.
Do you have any further questions?
Oh,
for this
no,
witness?
sorry. Yep, thank you.
Excuse me. Hey, guys, you're distracting, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to focus here.
Right, any further witnesses, Alderman Scannell?
No.
All right, you've used up almost all of your time. According to mine, I've got about a minute left, if you want to use that at the end. Alderman Nicholson, you got your 5.
Mr. Chairman, can you say go?
Go.
I did enter evidence of the pod broadcast. If you read the last paragraph, I believe it sums it up.
Just hang on a second.
Oh, I didn't get any of that.
No, I'm looking for it, that's why I'm just hanging on, I'm looking for it now.
It was aired June 6, 2016.
Alderman Scannell, I'll let you look at this
Okay.
one. That's what I got.
These are my closing statements, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Scannell introduced the Code of Conduct to control behavior, stop personal attacks, and bring discipline for inappropriate actions. He clearly violated the Code of Conduct, and this needs to be dealt with a serious manner. At the time of the incident, Alderman Scannell displayed aggressive behavior and physical contact with 2 aldermen, Weary and Dwayne. His bullying and intimidation towards members of the council cannot be tolerated. I feel his behavior was way out of bounds and unbalanced for the Green Bay City Council. This is no way to conduct business with the public. After the fact, Alderman Scannell has taken the incident lightly. As you can see from his own words, from the Political Radar podcast transcript, Alderman Scannell stated, "I don't see it as a big deal, but it was inappropriate and I crossed the line. And I have no problem taking ownership of that and responding accordingly." He did state that tonight in his own words. Members of the City Council need to show respect for differences of opinion. No member should be subject to aggressive behavior, verbal attacks with profanity and aggressive physical contact. Alderman Scannell's actions must be taken very seriously. And it is the duty of the committee and the City Council to hold him accountable. to the standards of the code of conduct that Mr. Alderman Scannell introduced. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you very much.
I have some questions for you.
Mr. Chairman, isn't that just my closing statement?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask you some questions?
Yeah, we can still ask questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give me the order of how you saw things go down that night?
Just like I stated it, how it's written in the report,
So it was Dwayne first,
correct,
and he used the F word
correct,
and poked him in the chest.
yes,
And then it was Weary with the F word.
multiple times.
Which
Bill.
one? The F word?
Dwayne,
He used it
multiple times, like I stated in the report,
And it was Chris Weary with the F-bomb and poking in the chest?
approximately seconds later, I was at my desk, recording the report, more profanity caught my attention, and that's what I saw.
Okay. So they were,
And then he exited into the south side, south to the mayor's office.
so when he was poking Alderman Dwayne, he was close enough to touch him? There was,
Correct.
the road dust
It
wasn't?
wasn't a lurch, it wasn't a jump, it wasn't a broad jump. It was personal space.
And then you saw him confront or having a discussion with Alderman Weary after the meeting?
Correct.
Did you
Right
see
by
him
the
have a-
elevators.
Did you see him have a discussion with Alderman Dwayne? after?
No, I did not.
All right, and if you could take me to subsection 6 and point out where the violation is, where you feel it is.
You have a copy of it?
I do, I just gotta find it. I got it. C, subsection C, like the report states, be respectful of diverse opinions. You want me to read the paragraph, Bill?
So that's the violation, he must be respectful of diverse opinions?
Correct, that's what I feel.
Okay, and the fact that it says elected official conduct with boards and commissions,
They're both on boards and commissions.
was this during a board or commission meeting?
No, sir,
Okay,
it was minutes before a city council meeting.
all right, and then the other one I had was section 4.
What do you want me to,
Where do
The
you
whole
see the
thing.
violation?
the whole thing? That's how I stated it. Billy asked me that before.
Well, that's why I'm having a hard time finding specifically how to apply what you're saying here to what it says here. Welcoming to speakers and treat them with care and respect. It doesn't apply.
That's your opinion, Bill.
Well, I mean, that's why I'm asking.
Read the whole thing, please. In my complaint, I stated the facts. I put the violations that I felt were violated. So it's up to the committee to go over the facts that were presented and make a determination.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Nicholson. Alderman Scannell, closing statement?
Thank you.
I feel that the timeliness is a relevant factor here. If this is such a concern, why did they wait a year? Why, if they're concerned about my behavior, shouldn't it have been addressed right away? Why would you wait a year to address it? And since that time, there have been no other incidents. It was one incident in the heat of the moment. I have no problem owning it. I lost my temper. I overreacted. I hurled I swore at Alderman Weary. And if he had asked for an apology, I'd have no problem apologizing. He's never asked for it. I've never asked for him an apology for being insulting. I didn't think it was necessary. If he still feels wounded and wants an apology, there's the parliamentary procedures to go through to do that, or he could just ask me. Alder Nicholson is right. This is making a mountain out of a molehill. I never claimed to be perfect, and I don't think we expect anyone to be perfect. If someone transgresses and they're willing to own up to it and take responsibility for it, it should be very easy to rectify. I believe that this is, I don't know what they're doing here. I don't know what's going on here. This is completely unnecessary and uncalled for. And the code of conduct was never meant to be used this way. You should not be in the middle of an issue between elected officials. That's just not right to put you in that place, and it was never meant to put you in that place. And I think, though we don't specifically say it, which might be an error, we do in the code. It did say what you should do if there's a problem with an alder. You call a point of personal privilege. You don't run to the ethics committee. It makes no sense to take our business, which before the code of conduct, we always took care of ourselves. Why would we delegate that to a committee? We did that only as a path for citizens to come forward with a complaint. It was never designed for an elected official to an elected official.
Okay, thank you. We've got a number of documents.
Oh, just one more thing though, if I may. It seems like a lot of people heard this, and my swearing and everything, and it seems to be a lot of selective hearing. I did call other alders. I did not call Alder Galvin, but there were a row of alders between us, and no one else heard that.
Didn't you admit it in your own testimony that you said it?
Right, but I have no problem with that. What I'm curious is how all this testimony happens when other people right in the very vicinity didn't hear it. How did they hear it? I mean, it's possible they, got keener hearing, whatever, but it just comes across as very odd to me, the whole testimony, the whole waiting a year. It just seems wrong.
But yet you said it were arbitrary.
Well, for Alder Weary, I do admit what happened. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, again, we've got a couple of documents up here. Do you have a copy of that podcast?
Yeah.
Thing?
This-
Nope.
This is the podcast one if you want.
All right, so we've got the Facebook document, the Adam Rodewald, USA Today report, and then something from a podcast. It says a partial transcript from 6/6/16.
One more.
Oh, yes, and then the document filed by Alderman Weary Alderman Nicholson dated May 17th of 2016. Question, Vanessa, how do we proceed with these?
You can admit them all at the same time, just noting the objection and then making a determination on it.
All right, and that determination is made public?
Yes.
Okay. Do we do that after deliberations or before?
I would do it before because you need to have all the evidence when you're
Okay.
in deliberations.
All right, so we've got an exhibit. Let's go through these one at a time. We've got an exhibit, and I'm going to mark on here number 1, and that is the Facebook printout from between apparently Alderman Weary and Alderman Scannell. Exhibit number 1. And I believe Alderman Nicholson objected to this So we'll note an objection on that one. And we'll just go through these and then we'll go back and discuss them. Second one is the report from Adam Growald. Is there an objection to that?
I object.
And that'll be Exhibit 2. Okay. Third one is the partial transcript of the June 6th, 2016 podcast. Is there any objection to that?
Nope.
No. Okay, so that's Exhibit number 3. And then Exhibit number 4 is the May 17th, 2016 refer to Ethics Board document signed by Alderman Nicholson. Is there any objection to that? Alderman Nicholson, obviously you filed it, so no
No,
objection.
it's, I wrote it,
Okay.
I signed it.
Number 4, okay. All right, so we've got an objection to Exhibit number 1, which is the Facebook messaging between the two alders. Any discussion on this, whether we admit it or not?
They both admit that it's accurate, right?
I believe so, between Alderman Weary and Alderman Scannell. Okay. So is there a motion to admit Exhibit number 1?
Motion to admit.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, so a motion and a second. All in favor of admitting Exhibit number 1, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion. Oh, one objection. Next is, item number 2 is or Exhibit number 2 is the Adam Rodewall article. Any discussion or question regarding this?
I just, without Adam here to attribute these comments and that to, I have a hard time accepting it as, where did he get the information from?
And I would, I guess, somewhat echo that in that I think there's some exceptions in the rules of evidence, which I confess I'm not the expert on, but
For your information, the rules of evidence do not actually apply. You can admit hearsay as long as you're corroborating evidence.
okay. My concern is that while it is a published article, again, the issue that you brought up, Bill, that just by presenting the article doesn't necessarily, well, I understand Alderman Scannell's position, it doesn't provide Alderman Nicholson with an opportunity to cross-examine someone. So, do we have any other questions or thoughts on this one? Is there a motion to accept or reject this as an exhibit?
I'll make a motion to reject it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of rejecting the Adam Rodewall article as an exhibit, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so on the votes, we have exhibits 1, 3, and 4 admitted into the record.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Since a partial transcript of the podcast that I was referring to is admitted, or if it is admitted, can then the entire podcast, if you could watch that in closed session, since it's their exhibit, it seems only fair that the whole podcast should be able to come in, which corroborates my statements.
The whole podcast could come in, however, it would need to be done as part of the hearing.
Oh. Well, we don't have time for that, do we?
No, unfortunately, no. All right. Anything further from the commission before we go to closed session for deliberations? All right, item number 5 then, the hearing portion is closed. Item number 5, deliberation and action on ethics complaint against Alderman Randy Scannell filed by Alderman Andy Nicholson under the City of Green Bay Code of Conduct for elected officials. The board may convene in closed session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 1 sub A of the Wisconsin statutes for the purposes of deliberating concerning a case which was subject to any judicial or quasi-judicial trial or hearing before that governmental body. The board may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85 sub 2 of the Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda. Is there a motion to move into closed session?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. All in favor of convening in closed session. State your name for the record. Bill Vandercastle, aye.
Mark Olson, aye.
Bill Gilman, aye.
Randy Kiewis, aye.
Since we all voted for it, it carries. We are now adjourning into closed session. Thank you all. We will reconvene after the deliberations are closed. Oh, sorry. Yep, gotta put this on. Oops, upside down. All right,
I'm loving it.
we're going back into open session. It's approximately 8:35. Is there a motion to return back to open session?
Motion to go back to open session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Let's do a roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Roll call vote?
Mark Olson?
Aye. Bill Vandercastle, aye.
Bill Gilman, aye.
Randy Kiewis, aye.
We're all in voting to go back into open session. There's no opposition. We are back in open session. The board has gone through its deliberation and to consider the findings of fact and conclusions, and as you may or may not be aware, under the Code of Conduct, we address the issue of sanctions as well. Starting with the findings first. This commission, based on the evidence and testimony presented, finds that the complaint was timely filed. The complaint by Alderman Nicholson was timely filed under the provisions of Section 8 of the city's Code of Conduct. Finding number 2, that there is sufficient evidence in the record to find a violation of Section 2B of the Code of Conduct by Alderman Scannell for the use of profane language towards Alderman Weary and towards Alderman Dwayne that was admitted to on the record, and a finding that there was physical contact by Alderman Scannell towards Alderman Weary and Alderman Dwayne. Finding number 3, that there is no evidence in the record to support a finding of a violation of Section 4 of the Code of Conduct. Finding number 4, that there is no evidence in the record to support a finding of a violation of Section 6 of the Code of Conduct. Based on those findings, we also reached some conclusions. Conclusion number 1, that there was proper notification given to all parties, and they were provided with copies of the complaint. Conclusion number 2, that this board has proper jurisdiction to hear the complaint filed by Alderman Nicholson against Alderman Scannell for the incidents that occurred on May 3rd, 2016. Conclusion number 3, that there has been a violation of Section 2B of the Code of Conduct by Alderman Scannell for hostile, belligerent, and abusive conduct toward both Alderman Weary and Alderman Dwayne. Based on the findings and the conclusion, this board recommends to the council that the sanctions be issued under the provisions of Section 8D sub 7 sub B, that being a formal censure by the council. That is the recommendation of this board based on the evidence presented. I've read the findings, the conclusions, and the recommendation that was discussed in closed session. Is there a motion to approve these by the commission?
Motion approved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye, and we'll do this one by roll call vote too, because we need to document for this for the record, so.
Mark Olson, aye.
Bill Vandecastle, aye.
Bill Galvin, aye.
Patty Kiwa's aye.
Anything further with respect to this hearing from the commission? No. Thank you very much. That closes these proceedings. We do have a couple more items on our agenda. Moving on to item number 6. Consideration and possible action on request for confidential advisory opinion from an...
Mr. Chairman, I gotta go, but I want to say thank you for your time in the committee.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Again, item number 6, consideration and possible action on request for confidential advisory opinion from an employee of the city pursuant to section 19.59 sub 5 of the state statutes and the Green Bay Municipal Code, section 1.90 sub 9. This is a request for a confidential advisory opinion. Employees have the right to make that request, and based on the fact that it's a request for a confidential advisory opinion, I would ask for a motion to refer this to the city attorney's office for their review and recommendation back to us as to how to proceed with this.
Make the motion.
A motion and
Second.
and we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And is there a second? We have a motion and a second, and just, again, thank you all for your time and effort tonight, and it's appreciated, and thank you all for participating. So, all in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you again.